Chat, if you guys didn't hear about this story, it's gonna blow your mind. If you guys never heard Akon, he's a rapper that your mom and dad probably listen to.
In 2020, rapper Akon made an announcement that he was building his own $6 billion future city in Africa that looks like the hybrid of Dubai and the fictional city of Wakanda. Akon City is where innovation meets luxury, with 5 distinct districts designed to redefine urban living. See the African Village District, where modern waterfront homes beckon, and a sprawling, all-inclusive resort awaits your indulgence.
Bro, this looks sick. Why wouldn't we trust Akon to build this? Let's let him.
Experience exhilaration in the entertainment district, boasting a cutting-edge multi-purpose stadium and a colossal casino for endless excitement.
That's
Witness
insane.
The future unfolding.
Why does this building look like a fucking dildo vibrator thing? You know what I mean? Like the thing that goes in the pussy, and it's just a thing that fucking hits the clit. Sorry.
In the tech district, poised to become the Silicon Valley of Africa, where groundbreaking technologies shape tomorrow's world. And of course, the essential health and safety district, because public services such as police stations, fire departments, and a general hospital are key to residents' quality of life. The education district will provide comprehensive learning opportunities for both children and adults, ensuring growth and development for all. And lastly, the glamorous Cynicalul district, which features 4 state-of-the-art filming studios, offices, and residential spaces.
Akon Tower? Akon Tower is the one that looks like a dildo too. You can't see my face is covered. But
with the iconic Akon Tower piercing the skyline to glorify the genius who created this futuristic urban oasis. For the past 4 years, Akon and his team have been preparing this city to be ready for you to experience by 2024. And just 4 years later, this is what Akon City looks like today.
It looks great.
Lies, corruption, collusion, a shady cryptocurrency, stealing native land. These are just a few of the villainous acts Akon has been accused of during this disastrous project. At first, many of his supporters saw him as a noble man making valiant efforts to create a real-life utopia, but now they question why the guy who believes that all men are divine kings to be worshipped by women wants to create and lead his own city. But before we get into the fall of Akon City, it is important to understand the actual amazing achievements Akon has made for over a dozen African nations. After Akon made millions of dollars in the music industry, he wanted to extend resources to Senegal, which is where he is from. Growing up, Akon knew the struggles of living in the dark once the sun went down. The town in Senegal that he grew up in, like many others, had no access to running water or power. Local economies were forced to shut down businesses when the sun set, and families were constrained to candlelight and kerosene lamps to complete their nightly tasks, resulting in over 3 million
wherever you spawn and start your life really does affect so much of like how your life plays out.
In deaths each year from harmful fumes and fires. In 2014, Akon Lighting Africa was launched. In the first year of Akon's Lighting Africa project, he brought solar energy to 14 different African nations. And although his intentions were noble, he had to implement borderline unethical strategies to convince nations to invest in solar. But before we get into that, a quick word from today's sponsor, Cook Unity.
Man, fuck yo sponsor.
It's squishy.
Fuck yo sponsor, buy merch.
Pasta.
And Cynical merch, baby. Fuck
because
this
handmade
shit.
dish that take link in the description. Unity and are hesitant to think about the future. So he strategically approached nations who had upcoming elections, then installed solar systems for free in the village of the leader's choice, such as installing streetlights and solar panels for homes and businesses. Then it made those leaders look like they were invested in progressing their nation, which led to them receiving more votes from citizens. It came to the point that once that village was lit up, now the neighboring villages would bring pressure to the government and ask those same questions. How come we ain't lit up? Although many are critical of this tactic, at the end of the day, the communities are the ones who benefit the most. The solar electricity has allowed the vendors to operate for longer hours into the night and for children to study after dark. Also, just the simple installation of streetlights led to decreased crime rates due to the visibility these solar-powered street lighting provides. By 2020, Akon Lighting Africa has installed 100,000 solar-powered street lamps, 1,200 solar microgrids, and has created more than 5,000 jobs. But many people question how Akon was able to finance a project of this size. Sure, his music was successful, but we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars in infrastructure costs. Well, he was able to land a line of credit for up to $1 billion worth of solar equipment with the finance arm of China Jiangsu International Group, which is a Chinese government-owned construction firm. Most of these African nations could not afford the upfront money for installing solar infrastructure, but Akon's line of credit allowed the governments to pay in installments.
But when Bush was in power, Bush created a 200% tax on all solar or all solar related and renewable energy coming into America. So all that investment, those billions of dollars of investment that China put into this was just sitting in factories and sitting in China, couldn't be used. So I took advantage of that and went down to China and to partner with some of those companies that couldn't use all that, investment that they already put for Europe and America.
Because of Akon's efforts, an estimated 28.8 million people can now enjoy the same benefits of electricity that much of the world has enjoyed for decades.
You've always said that China has done more for Africa than any other country.
I mean, it's true. That's not something anybody can argue with.
Yeah.
I mean, they came, they laid down infrastructure. They actually did something that the European countries been around for 400 years and did nothing. That's why if you see Africa now hasn't been developed. This was the responsibility
It
of
is
France,
so kind of crazy to me how
Italy,
there's
Germany,
so many
these
underdeveloped
guys have been
areas in the
Africa
world still.
forever, and it's never been developed. China just started putting.
And there's so many
Africa. Now they have
overdeveloped
roads,
areas.
roundabouts. Like they're actually putting structure down.
Now, China has been investing in Africa since the early 2000s, but their interest has dramatically increased in the past 10 years, having loaned $170 billion to 49 different nations. And while the Chinese government investing in Africa is a major step forward into the advancement of those nations, some people think that they have a secret evil motive behind their interest. Now, obviously, these Chinese investments
Chad, do you guys think the Chinese government is evil?
Be paid back. The problem is that Africa's total debt from 2000 to 2022 is around $1.8 trillion, which is 300% higher than Africa's GDP growth rate in the same amount of time. Basically, they're in a lot of debt and don't have a stable way to pay.
Or like there's some countries, Drake, that have a super developed area and then a super really undeveloped area. Like it's like there's a huge gap, and then United States, it's like there's not as huge of a gap. Not really personally, distance-wise.
Money. But that might be exactly what the Chinese government wants.
SB's been brainwashed by the Chinese government. Get her. She works for them. She goes, I for one am in favor. I'm in favor of the Chinese takeover. Get her! She's literally she's a spy, bro. She's literally deep undercover from the Chinese government. Got her! It was literally a test. Did Arthropede make the Euro governments bounce out of Africa? That's too smart for me. Geopolitics play into it a lot. Yeah, real.
Debt trap diplomacy, or the Chinese debt trap, is essentially their strategy of building expensive infrastructure and assets that these African nations cannot afford, secretly hoping that they will stop making payments and then
how
China will
the drug lords and cartels work with the government to stay out of tourist cities, protect the tourism money they make, but let them run rampant in other places.
Take control of their land or assets that they just built. Now, why would China want to control a bunch of land, resources, and assets in the middle of Africa? Your guess is as good as mine. But these theories were spawned after an investigation
honestly,
into these.
Whenever the guy doing the video shows his face, he shows his face every now and then, he should do a trigger warning, like a jump scare. Like he kind of looks creepy.
Africa, your guess is as good.
Like, I don't know. I don't really want to see your face, bro.
It is mine. But these theories were spawned after an investigation into these loan documents.
In one report which analyzed 100 Chinese contracts, it revealed that the loans are structured to give an advantage over other creditors. And allows action to be taken if the borrower acts contrary to the interests of a People's Republic of China entity. There are also unusual clauses that shroud agreements in secrecy.
So what exactly would constitute as acting contrary to the interest of a Chinese entity? Well, that's really vague.
Like in the pharmacies chat, I remember when I used to work for the cartel.
On purpose. Who knows what would legally count as acting contrary? And as far as these unusual confidential clauses, well, that alone is enough for some people to believe that China is trying to be vague and non-transparent on purpose. But others believe that this is just extremely standard contract practices that the World Bank and any other...
Bruh, is Vaseline actually good for your lips? I've heard people talk shit about Vaseline, but like I don't know. I've never really used Vaseline.
Small bank in existence provides, and that the Chinese debt trap as a whole is just more Western propaganda to 1, demonize Africa more, and 2, make Americans hate the Chinese government. Think about it this way. When you're buying a house, does the government, the media, or the banks call it a debt trap? No. They call it a smart and often necessary investment into your future. But if you can't make your payments payments on your
Aquifer's
house,
gas.
they take it away, and
Where's
now
the
they own
aquifer?
it. So wouldn't that make buying a house an American debt trap? It just comes down to whether you think China is doing extremely standard business, or do they want these nations to fall short on payments to take over their assets and gain power in Africa.
Damn.
Regardless, Akon's relationship with these Chinese financiers and previous success with lighting Africa allowed him to pitch his newest venture, Akon
Bro,
City.
that's
He
literally
claims
a
that he was able to
dildo.
get his $1 billion credit line raised to $5 billion with these Chinese investment groups. Following the announcement of the city, Akon went on a publicity tour promoting the new project.
Dustling
The president of
sometimes.
Senegal gave you 3 square miles of land.
Well, this is the thing. I had to actually buy the land, so it wasn't gifted to me. But what the president and the government are doing, they're actually laying the foundation for all the infrastructure on the land. The basic sewage, electricity, things like that. All the things that have to be set forth for me to build the city on top of.
Okay.
And they give me 100% full, support.
The city will be built on a
Damn.
3 square mile plot just 60 miles from Dakar, the capital and largest city in Senegal. Now 3 square miles is not a ton of land, that's 2,000 acres or a little more than double the size of Central Park in New York City. However, Akon says this version of the city is just phase 1 of a multi-phase plan. He also
Damn.
announced during this time that Akon City would operate fully
Sounds
on
a
their
little
own
low.
cryptocurrency
Yeah,
called
I don't even know how much
Acoin.
it takes to build a
Acoin is
city.
a
5
stellar-based
billion?
cryptocurrency designed to fuel rising entrepreneurs in Africa and beyond. Acoin will be used as a common medium of transfer between Africa's 54 countries,
Bro, you guys
each with
remember
its own
during
volatile
COVID how
currency.
like every creator had their own crypto and all this stuff, and then like just scammed everyone, and then they just disappeared and stopped talking about it.
Allowing African citizens
Like,
and
literally
entrepreneurs to
every
engage with the
influencer was just
digital
scamming
economy with
there.
only a mobile phone.
People don't always have access
Like
to
even Lana
bank
Rhodes
accounts
up
and so on, but
Pornstar had
everybody
Lana
has a phone.
Rhodes
Everybody has a
coin.
phone.
So with the phone, you can make payments,
Absolutely.
and that's
Umi
how it all
Bird.
kind of fits in
That's
to the
where
thing.
it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay.
Acoin is not a groundbreaking technology. Many Africans have adopted crypto for everyday use as it is generally more stable and flexible than their country's native currency. But even before crypto
Damn.
was adopted, over 50 million Africans use M-Pesa or mobile minutes, which is kind of like the Cash App or Venmo of Africa. Millions of
Cash App is
Africans
so
can
good,
transfer
man.
money to family members in
W
different
Cash App.
countries or pay for goods and services with ease using M-Pesa. It would be significantly easier for Akon City residents if the country was built around a more commonly used cryptocurrency or just sticking with M-Pesa. So why Acoin?
How much Acoin do you actually own?
I mean, I am the bank.
Akon said it himself.
Jeez, I am the
He
bank.
is the bank. Not only is he building a city named after him, but also creating the
Yeah,
currency
building a
that
city
he
named after you
controls
is pretty
and owns
wild.
the most of. Before launching his Acoin cryptocurrency, the Acoin website announced
is
a
a pretty
pre-sale
insane thing to
opportunity
say.
called the Token of Appreciation.
Imagine
or
if I made a city called Sin City. Now that sounds dope. I would so do that. In a country's currency. No, for real,
or
dude.
TOA campaign.
Sin-
This pre-sale was treated like a
Sin City
donation,
wasn't made
and
for
donors
you.
were promised 4 tokens for
Angels
every $1
like
spent.
you.
Acoin was launched on most major crypto exchanges in early 2021 and peaked at around 58 cents, which at the time was around a 132% gain for the TOA holders if they sold. However, the majority believed in Acoin, so they held. Within a few months, the price began spiraling down to roughly 10
Damn.
cents per coin, taking TOA holders from a
Make it
132%
happen.
gain
It
to
would
a
literally just be like a homeless camp.
60% loss. Due to the shocking dip,
Long time.
Acoin
I'm gonna be in
admins offered a
chokehold.
refund to their initial donors. One donor named Marcus said, "The refund was meant to
Damn.
come a few weeks later. We are now over a year, and we're back at the same situation we were years ago with the lack of communication, and now
gosh.
everybody's up in arms." But Marcus isn't alone. The owner of the Go Black to Africa YouTube channel showed proof of him emailing
What?
Acoin admins only to be ignored for years. The YouTuber wrote to Andrew of the Acoin Foundation requesting a refund on December 19th,
That's a wild
2021.
YouTube name.
Andrew replied 22 days later and said that the YouTuber was added to the
I'm gonna play
list
some
for
Overwatch
refund requests,
or
and we will
Warzone.
be reaching out
Chat,
shortly
Overwatch or Warzone first tonight.
regarding further details on how to proceed. The YouTuber
I'm playing
provided his
GTA
physical
2
mailing
later.
address, which Andrew claimed was the next step towards a refund, only for him to be ignored for 4 months with no refund, and now it has been 3 years and still no refund. When Akon was asked about these refunds, he said he had no idea there was any problems.
Now that I wasn't aware. 'Cause I
You
know
wanna play
all
some
the people
Warzone, Umber?
that I know that was on record. We definitely met with everybody, and this was the agreement that was actually.
Warzone it is,
So
guys.
if that was anyone outside of that, I
Sweet,
definitely
sweet
wasn't aware.
pookies.
And those people who asked for their money back and were expecting it a year ago, when will they receive their money?
Well, that I'm just literally on everything finding out. So I'm gonna definitely get more involved and figure out what that's about. But we do have instruments in place to make sure those people are happy, even if I got to go in my own pocket.
But as far as we know, Akon has not come out of pocket to pay these people back. The coin eventually fell to 0.00.
How like people like scam some people with these cryptocurrencies and like they just couldn't do anything about it because it's like, so unregulated.
$9, which is essentially a 100% loss.
Only if
At the
you yell
moment,
from it.
Acoin is not listed on any cryptocurrency exchange, so nobody can buy it, sell it, or use it anywhere. It is worth nothing.
Akon had appeared that he was doing a good job, but it seems though that he is just like most who would want to use Africa only for his own benefit.
As if it couldn't get any worse, Akon City today is an utter ghost town. Last year, this picture went viral of one singular Minecraft concrete brick laid in the center of Akon City, showcasing an extreme lack of progress being made considering the fact that Akon said the city would be done by 2024. However, there is a little more than just this one stone. Today in 2024, you can see the first completed building, an extremely standard and non-futuristic building that they say is a recreational center. There's also another small, barely constructed building with a spiral staircase, which to be fair does look like a small version of what the original vision depicted. However, 99% of the land remains vacant with wild cattle grazing. Yes, technically construction has begun, but as you can see, this is a far cry from the futuristic megacity we were promised. Akon blamed the pandemic, saying everything would be pushed back by 2 years, which doesn't really make sense considering he announced Akon City to the international media when the pandemic was at its worst moments. The unfortunate part about the land that's just sitting unused is that the land belonged to several hundred people who are still owed compensation from the Senegalese government. The first phase of Akon City was supposed to be built on 55 hectares of land secured by SAPCO in 2009, eventually expanding onto a further 500 hectares by the end of the decade. Macky Sall, the president of Senegal, said, "My problem concerning the land is not with Akon. My problem is concerning SAPCO, because it is them who took the land from the villagers." Originally, the Senegalese government's tourist board SAPCO was backing the project, saying, "We believe in Akon City and we are all supporting Akon so the Akon City will come to life. It will attract tourists and investors in the region and SAPCO is fully committed to the success of this project." But most recently, they have sent Akon a formal notice that if the project has not advanced by next year, its contract with him will be terminated. And since Akon has massively overpromised and massively underdelivered, people are starting to question his intentions in the first place. "I plan to retire in that city," he says confidently. "I don't like to use the word king of the city, but that's what it will turn out to be."
Insane.
Words like this have made some people believe that Akon City is just an empire to inflate his ego at best and a corrupt billion-dollar scam at worst.
Wow.
Additionally, Akon's views of the Western world's morals and gender roles has made people disagree with him as a leader.
But what happens in today's society, the woman chooses which role she want to play. In the last 10, 15 years, I haven't met a woman that can actually cook. I haven't met a woman that actually wants to clean the house. I can, man, bro, I've met the baddest bitches on the globe and asked to go to the bathroom, and the bathroom looked like shit.
You're too old to be talking about this shit, bro. He's like, Akon's like, what, 45, 50, talking about, man, I can't find any girls who can cook. Bro, shouldn't he be married with some like kids, grandkids? Like,
all over the place.
Here we go.
Products.
Like, bro, who are all these old fools? Man, where are all the girls who can cook for me, man? Bro, you're old. It's like he's playing God.
Like, come on now. That's a natural instinct. That's a natural instinct.
I'm with you.
Maybe this could just be a joke, but Akon does follow a very non-Western style of raising his 9 children with 7 different women.
Time you're at every single recital.
No, that's a white man's thing. Who gives a fuck about a recital? The reason why people like me can't spend every single day and minute with their children is because the mother's job is to be there with the children. I'm the man. My job is to provide comfort so the mother can provide and raise those children to be like me. Now, if it's a man, when a child gets to a certain age, that's my responsibility now to show him what a man's role and responsibility is. But you can't expect a man to conquer the world if he's home with children. In life, there's roles.
Yeah, no.
A man has his role.
Yes.
And a woman has her role. Yes. But the day the woman believes that the man is supposed to share her role with her, then that means she's lacking. So I don't go pull my wife out to the construction site to go pull nails in 2x4s because that's not her place. A guy ain't got time to be in the house all day with no kids.
Now, this could be chalked up to just a traditional style of raising a family, but sometimes he justifies his beliefs with extreme
like what? Bro, why do people take it to this extreme? Like, it's not that serious, bro.
Levels of bro science.
So, as a woman, her role is to support the man. The man, we are the kings and the divine of this universe.
The
The woman
divine.
can never compare to the man. They have to understand that here in America. The women don't create life. They support the creation of life. A man right now can
Bro,
create
what?
life without a woman.
Dude. Bro, what are you tweaking about, bro? Dude. This guy's like, dude, I'm the alpha. I'm the alpha and the omega. I'm divine. Brother, you're wearing a medium-sized t-shirt.
But a woman can't
With
create.
Akon, like, I mean, it's about the black community, bro. I think it's just people. What he yapping about? I always think it's weird, like, dudes who think like this. Like, bro, it's not that serious. Like, you meet a girl, you guys get along, similar personalities, you laugh, you have fun, you create your own dynamic, and that's that. Like, it doesn't have to be like, women have to do this, men have to do this. Like, it's so weird, bro. Like, I just don't understand who the fuck thinks like that. Like, I get it, like, if you meet a girl who wants to be a traditional wife, cool. Like, do that shit. But, like, if not, why do you care so much? That's whack.
Life without a man. If I wanted to create life right now without a woman, I would just shoot my sperm, put it in the incubator, and just give it 9 months. Even
That's not how that works. That's... Do you think that's all a woman is? Is just she heats the sperm up? Does he not know that he needs an egg? And, like, to feed the baby nutrients? Does he just think that it just sits in there and grows like in a test tube? Wait, does he really not know how babies are born? Wait a minute. This guy literally just doesn't know how babies are born. Wait, what the fuck? We trust this dude to build a $9 million city, but he doesn't know how babies are born? This is terribly stupid. This podcast, I don't think is right.
maybe less with today's science, and a baby will be born. A woman can't do that.
Hopefully in Akon City, he is not in charge of the education curriculum because his science is considerably off here. Akon is likely referring to vitro gametogenesis, which is essentially creating an egg and a sperm outside of the human body to create a life. And the answer is no, we cannot do this right now. We can fertilize a female egg and a male sperm in a lab environment, but in order to give birth, the fertilized embryo must be transferred back to the woman's uterus. At the absolute worst, Akon could be a scammer with a god complex, who is willing to take Chinese money to build infrastructure that African nations cannot afford, only to line his own pockets while these nations crumble.
Bro, like, you'll see that clip and us will laugh and say, oh, that's goofy, he's cringe, he's stupid. But then there's a type of dude who's like, retweet, real, like Sigma energy. That's how a woman should be. You know what I mean? Like, someone would see that, watch the same thing as us, like we just watched with him saying, and think that, like, oh, that's real as fuck.
And get taken over by the Chinese government. Or at best, he is truly trying to build a futuristic utopia for Africans, and unfortunately, the massive political and economic responsibilities were far more than he could handle. And as of right now, Akon City won't exist for a very long time. But to be honest, it probably never will.
Nah, that shit ain't getting built.